నమో నమః సర్వేభ్యో నమస్కారః అందరికీ నమస్కారములు. Today is another lecture from our Guruji Achyut Purushotma Karveji. You all know him. He has been taking classes for all of us. So we start the session with reciting Vande Mataram and show our respect to our country, pay our respect to our country. Then I will ask Lakshmi ji to chant Prarthana. After that, we'll request Lakshmi ji to carry on with the webinar. Okay. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Sujalam Sufalam. Malayaj Sitalam. Sasya Syamalam Mataram. Vande Mataram. Subhajyosna Pulakitayamine Pullakusumita Rumadala Sobini Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini Sukhadam Varadam Mataram. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Okay, now I request Lakshmi Khanapur ji to chant Prarthana, please.
Namaskar. Sarvebhya Namo Namaha. First, we should start with meditation for 1 minute, followed by Omkara 3 times, and then the Prarthana. Oh. 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 Om Gananam Tva Ganapatikum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anah Shunvannuti Sridasadanam. Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Teenamavatriyavatu. Om Sri Mahasaraswatye Namaha. Gurureva Gati Guruvema Guruveva Gurureva Gati Gurumeva Bhaje Gurunaiva Sahasmi Namo Gurave Na Guroha Paramam Shishurasmi Guroha Matirasti Gurau Mam Pahi Guro Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakrutim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivamupaasmahe Shrutismrutis Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kruto Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्माम् अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्यदेवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ధన్యవాదములండి
నమస్కారం
లక్ష్మి గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. నౌ లెట్ us request Achyut ji to continue with his webinar, please.
So I'm presenting.
Yeah, you can present.
Is it presented?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is presented.
So Excel. One. T. So let us start. Today we are going to try to find the 64 letters of the Sanskrit language. But before we start, I have presented a table here. There are many opinions about the 64 letters or the total number of letters in the Sanskrit language. And they draw from various pratishakyas or various other traditions. And this I am presenting here. So this is Sarva Varna Samamnaya, the traditional recitation of the Sanskrit alphabet. As we teach in our schools today, this is the form in which we teach children. That is A, I, U, Ru, Lu, Lu, A, I, O, Aha. Some say Ang, Aha. Marathi, they say Aha. Then Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha, Ya, Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na, Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na, Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha, Ma, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha. That's all. Even in Marathi, Ra is included. That makes a total of 48 or 49 letters. The next is Panini's alphabet, based on the Paniniya Shiksha. Here they count it like this: A, I, I, U, Ru, Lu, A, I, O, I, O, इसको मात्रा नहीं दीजिए. A, I, O, Au. This is how they are counting it. Again, A, I, O, Au. Then the same way, Ka class, Cha class, Ta class, Ta class, Pa class, and Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sa, Ha. Then this Upadmaniya, that is Pa, and this is Ka. Then Aha, and nasalized as it is in Vedic Shastra, they might be, in the Vedas, they might be phoneting it in a particular way. Total number of letters 59, adding 4 yamas, that is the nasals, and la makes a total of 64 letters. Then in the Taittiriya Pratishakhya's alphabet is A, A, E, E, U, 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 Ru, Ru. Now here the Pluta Ru is not there. Lu, A, I, O, O. So the Pluta A is not there, the Pluta O is not there. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. And for all, Cha Varga, Ta Varga, Ta Varga, Pa Varga, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha, then Pa, then Ka, Aha, A. So this total to 54 letters only. The next is the Pratyahara Sutra of Vyakarana, that is the Maheshwar Sutras. I Una, Riluk, E Ong, I Ouch, Aya Varata, Lana, Yamangana Nama, Jabhaya, Gada Dasha, Jaba Gada Dasha, Kapha Chatata Chatatava, Kapaya, Shashasara, and Hala. These are only 43 in number. Then the letter Vedic alphabet of the Vedic literature reading curriculum. Here we see A, E, Pluta is not there. U, Ru, Lu, A, I, O, Aha. This is this only includes the long vowels. It doesn't include the Pluta vowels. Now here Ka Varga, Cha Varga, Ta Varga, Ta Varga, Pa Varga, and Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha. Then the Upadmanyas, 2, Ra and Ra. Here they have used 2 Ras. That is, one is Ra and the second is Ra. Total number of letters is 52. Now, Varna Samamna, a collection of letters or alphabet given traditionally. Although Sanskrit alphabet has got everywhere the same cardinal letters, that is A, E, etc., consonants Ka, Kha, etc., semi-vowels Ya, Ra, La, Va, sibilants Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha, and a few additional phonetic units such as Anuswara and Visarga. And others, still their number and order differ in the different traditional enumerations. Panini has not mentioned them actually, but the 14 Shiva Sutras on which he based his work mention only 9 vowels and 34 consonants. The long vowels being looked upon as varieties of the short ones. The Shiksha of Panini mentions 63 or 64 letters. Adding the letter R, Duspashta, Trishashta, Chatushtarva, Tarva, Varnaha, Shambhu, Mate, Mataha. The Rig Pratishakyas adds 4 Visarga, Jivva Mulya, Upadmanya, and Anuswara to the 43 given in the Shiva Sutras and mention 47. The Taittiriya Pratishakyas mention 52 letters, 16 vowels, 25 consonants, 4 semi-vowels, 6 sibilants, and Anuswara. The Vajaseniya Pratishakya mentions 65 letters, 3 varieties of A, E, U, Ru, Lu, 2 varieties of A, I, O, 25 class consonants, 4 semi-vowels, 4 sibilants, and Jiva Mulya and Upadmanya, Anuswar, Visarjaniya, Nasikya. And 4 Yama letters, Ete Panchashashta Varna, Brahma Rashirat, Ma Vachaha. The Rig Tantra gives 57 letters, 14 vowels, 25 class consonants, 4 semi-vowels, 4 sibilants, Visarga, Jiva Mulya, Upadmanya, Anunasika, 4 yamas, and 2 anuswaras. The Rig Tantra gives 2 different serial orders. The Uddesha, common, and the Upadesha, traditional. The common order of Uddesha gives the 14 vowels beginning with A, then the 25 class consonants, then the 4 semi-vowels, the 4 sibilants, and lastly the 8 ayogavaha and visarjaniya and others. The traditional order gives the diphthongs first, then long vowels, a, ru, lu, e, and u, then short vowels, ru, lu, e, u, and lastly a. Then semi-vowels, then the 5 fifth consonants, the 5 fourth consonants, the 5 thirds, the 5 seconds, the 5 first, then the 4 sibilants, and then the 8 ayogavaha letters and 2 anuswaras instead of 1 anuswara. This second part conforms with Panini's Maheshwar Sutras. Panini appears to have followed the traditional order with a few changes that are necessary for the technique of his work. Now we start. Going through the listing of the letters of the alphabet, we neither find uniformity in ordering of the letters nor any criterion on which one letter is differentiated from the other. Though classification by naming has been done, they have named letters as groups, Jivamulya, Upadmaniya, Anunasika, etc. For example, let us take the class consonant. The question is, how is Ka different from Kha? Ka is different from Cha. How is Ka different from Cha? The basis on which we can define each letter. It appears that while identifying the various letters they have used, the method of identifying the letters on the basis of sounds used in words, that is, on the basis of the Vaikhari, by affixing script letters to them, or marks, or marking them, in the case of Upadmaniya, etc. Patanjali states that words are fourfold: the Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. He only states that it is the fourth one that we hear, and the rest are holed up inside, which only the illumined can see. He does not even describe them as to their nature or characteristic, thus mystifying them. This mystification has cost the tradition a lot, as Vedics following the Pratishakyas always made use of the Ashtadhyayi while creating their own grammar by drawing upon his sutras and trying to prove how correct or incorrect they were. This attitude has been rightly criticized by Patanjali in his Mahabhashya, and this disservice to the writer of the Ashtadhyayi made Patanjali write his Mahabhashya. No wonder Patanjali calls Panini Bhagwan Panini. It thus appears that the way Panini saw the Sanskrit language varied from the way it was seen by the practitioners of the Vedas. The remaining 3 aspects of Vaka, which are holed up inside, are nothing but the articulatory mechanism of Vak or speech called Madhyama, that is, witnessing the movement of the articulatory mechanism and coalescing it with the object it denotes while phonating, called Pashyanti, and that which cannot be fathomed, called the Para. The fact that the rest of the 3 have words describing them shows that there were sages who could see them. However, the latter grammarians in the tradition did not put the requisite effort to experience them and in the process describe them. They only used the Pratyahara system revealed by Panini in the Maheshwar Sutras, thus making a dead dog of the Maheshwar Sutras. They are only the Maheshwar Sutras which can reveal the remaining 3. Patanjali, though being convinced about the genius and the effort that Panini put into the compilation of the Ashtadhyayi, by saying that he carried out penance for 12 long years before he sat down to compile the Ashtadhyayi, yet without affording any reason, accepted the Ayogavaha letters just because they were in practice in the Vedic tradition and included them in the alphabet without giving any reason for why Panini did not include them in the Ashtadhyayi. This shows that the Panini model of Shiksha never existed after Panini, and that the Paniniya Shiksha is the product of the Pratishakyas and not of Paninian grammar. In my previous webinar, I said that the Maheshwar Sutras are calls. The problem with Ayogava letters is that you cannot make a call out of it. This might be the reason why Panini might not have included them in his Maheshwar Sutra. Now, this is, I have extracted this. So now, in the Paniniya Shiksha, we find a list of 64 letters. This list is as follows. Vowels 21, short, long, and extra long vowels. O, A, etc. This has been drawn from the Rigveda Pratishakya 1.9. Consonants 25, Ka, Kha, Ga, and class consonants from Pratishakya 1.10. Yanas 8, Yara, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha, Pratishakyas 1.10. Yamas 4, Pratishakya 1.50. Visarga 1, Anuswara 1, Upadmaniya 1, and Jivamulya 2. Pratishakya 1.10. Duspashta La, Ra 1, and Plutalukar 1. Now, for example, in that Lu, short Lu, they should have included the Plutalu also, isn't it? Why they have included it as a separate letter? Had they done it, the number of vowels would have come to 22 instead of 21. This is also a question which needs to be addressed. Here we find that the list has been borrowed from the Pratishakyas. Thus, they have nothing to do with the Paninian system as revealed by Panini in his Maheshwar Sutras. Secondly, the counting of vowels in the Paniniya Shiksha is flawed, as it considers Kal while deriving the 21 vowels, which according to Patanjali is outside the articulatory mechanism and hence cannot be accounted as aksharas, as Patanjali has said so in reply to the Vartik Akara Vivruttopadeshe Akarasya Grahanartha. He says that A cannot be differentiated from A with the help of Kala. So A is a savarna of A. It is not a separate letter. Except for L, all the other letters need to be counted. We will enumerate the 64 letters. The Maheshwar Sutras consists of 43 letters, which includes 2 Hs. If we add R, we get 44 letters. Thus, it becomes necessary for one to identify and list the remaining 20 aksharas or letters. But before we proceed, we need to distinguish between what we mean by akshara and what we mean by varna. The articulatory mechanism consists of the following 4 parts, namely the jivva, the asya, the sthana, and prayatna. Out of these 4 parts, jivva and prayatna are common to all letters. Those letters which make use of the jivva, asya, and prayatna while phonating are the vowels, while those who make use of the jivva, sthana, and prayatna are the consonants. Now, here also in a previous webinar, I had shown the images of the muscles of the face which relate to the vocalization or phonation of each of the vowel. This I had done. So it is asya prayatna, asya, jivva, asya prayatna. The consonants are jivva, sthana, prayatna. Together they are called akshara. When the vowel and the consonant combine as dvandva, that is, they coalesce as one, they make a varna. That is, the ka in kapaya is a akshara. However, the ka, when we are phonating it in the alphabet, it doesn't remain a akshara, it becomes a varna. Thus, as we are here dealing with aksharas and not varnas, we need to find out the remaining 20 aksharas. Where can we find these remaining 20 letters? Obviously, in the language which uses these letters. Let us therefore review some Sanskrit words and find out whether there exists some variants from which we can derive the corresponding aksharas which Panini has not described in the Maheshwar Sutras. So there are letters which Panini has not described in his Maheshwar Sutras, but they exist in the language. For example, now when we say Kataka, this Ka is different from Kata. In the word Kataka, Ka is different from the word in the word Kata. In the same way, Khajaka, Khajapa, Gaja, Gada, Ghata, Ghatta, Kankatika, Kankatikaha, Kankataha. So, if anybody is ready to read them read for us, that will be good. So that whether in the normal speech also this differentiation is actually exists. Do we phonate the ka, kha, ga, gha, gha in the two letters, in the two words, distinctly, separately? Our articulatory mechanism is different, or both the kas are phonated in the same way. Like you can say, when it becomes samruta, it becomes kataka, kata. So here the differentiation becomes blurred. In the same way, chakra, chakshu, chata, chala, jatara, janani, jhampa, jhara, chanchu, chanchala. Similarly, tagara, tanka, thakkura, thara, damara, damaru, dhakka, dhakkana, tandula, tandaka. Similarly, with the third class consonants, takshaka, takra, thutkara, tharatharayate, daksha, dagdha, dharani, dhara, nandini, nabhasa. So there is these two nas, or each letter in the above words, first letter, except for the anunasikas. For example, we say chanchu, chanchu, and we use chanchala. So the ya is different. Similarly, tandula and tandaka. So the na is different. In the above, one will notice that the first varna in the first word is phonated posteriorly. It is phonated behind in the mouth, whereas the first varna of the next letter is phonated anteriorly in the mouth, except for the anunasika na, where we do get words whose first letter in a word is na. The rest of the anunasikas are found inside the word. As their place of phonation are different, they need to be counted as two different varnas, each constituting a different akshara. That is, the akshara in the first ka is phonated posteriorly with respect to the second ka, and so on for the other consonants of the ka, cha, ta, and ta class. So here what we have said is, in the case of consonants, where the articulatory mechanism used is jivva, sthana, and prayatna. Here we see that in each of the vargas, the sthana prayatna for the same letter is different. It is either ka or it is ka. So this brings in the difference between the two letters of the same letter. That is, the class consonants of the ka, cha, ta, and ta class have two variations. However, to instruct the points of voicing of each of the consonant of the ka class, cha class, ta class, and ta class, efforts needs to be made in the way that has been made in presenting the Maheshwar Sutras. The class consonants in the Pratishakyas were instructed with the help of the sequence Kuchu tu tupu or Kakhau Gagau Ngaha. This was also one of the methods in which the letters were instructed in the Pratishakyas. However, in this way, the remaining four letters of each class cannot be instructed. So I can say Ku, Chu, Tu, Pu. ठीक है, पर Khu, Chu, this is what will happen. So the remaining four letters, it is very difficult. So therefore, only the class, first letter of the class can be instructed. however, when we remove the ukar, we just remove the ukar from the sequence and join an it to it. What happens? We find that it perfectly fits into the schema of Panini's Maheshwar Sutras as mere aksharas without a suffixed vowel. The 25 consonants can be voiced in the following order. That is, ka cha ta ta pat, kha cha ta tha pat, ga ja da da bad, gha ja da dha bad, nga ya na na man. Now, what do we find here is that the it letter undergoes change. Taparas tatkalasya, Patanjali, Panini has, there is a sutra for it. Patanjali says, tapar, you add a ta after the letter. So, ata, ata, ya, kata, kata, or kata. So, any alphabet letter, you add a ta, you will get its class length, its time length. Kala, you can see it. Taparas tat kalasya. Here what is happening is we have another four more pratyaharas as ta, tha, da, dha and na. However, on scrutiny, while reciting or voicing the consonants in the above way, one finds that they are not the same as those voiced in the Maheshwar Sutra. That is, the points of articulation of the consonants when voiced in the above order are different from those voiced in the Maheshwar Sutra. That is, the consonants voiced in the above sequence, that is, kachata tapat, khachata tapat, that is, the points of articulation of the consonants when voiced in the above order are different from those voiced in the Maheshwar Sutra. That is, the consonants voiced in the above sequence are voiced anteriorly as compared to those voiced in the Maheshwar Sutra. That is the Nyaya letters. Now, see these sutras, they are any South Indian will easily recite it because they are using these actually. In South India, all languages use these letters. That is kachata tapat, khachata tapat, gajada dabat, gajada dhabat, ngayana naman. So this is what is used in South Indian languages. They are not used in North Indian language. ठीक है. Thus, an effort was made to rearrange the above consonants. Let us see. Chatata. Chatata also is there. This sequence is also there in the Maheshwar Sutra as khapa chatata chatatava. But here, when you say khapa chatata chatatava, this is posteriorly phonetic. However, in this sequence, it comes anteriorly. Kachata tapat. So this is the difference. So because they are different from those voiced in the Maheshwar Sutras, a similar effort had to be made. So to arrange the consonants as they are articulated in the Maheshwar Sutra. This arrangement is as follows: Kata chapata, khata chapatha, gada jabada, ghada jabadha, ngada yamana. So this is the sequence in which the articulation, the points of articulation, the sthana are those that are used in the Maheshwar Sutra. For example, you say this is not according to Panini's Maheshwar Sutra. Here it is kata chapata. Chatatava is not there. Kata chapata, kata chapata, gada jabada, ghada jabada, ngana yamana. As stated earlier, in ordering of the consonants according to the sequence of the Devanagari script letters, ka, kha, ga, ga, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, ya, etc., has created problems in instructing the consonants. Firstly, they are voiced with a suffixed a. This is ka includes a. Secondly, they can be voiced in two ways. You can either voice it ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, or you can voice it ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. You can voice the subsequent letter anteriorly to the previous one or posteriorly to the previous one. Firstly, when suffixed with the vowel a, they are voiced anteriorly to the previous consonant. Secondly, the place of articulation of each of the consonant cannot be distinctly determined. This is a very, so why people cannot understand the articulation is because of this a. That is ka, if you say, you cannot make out from where you have articulated. If you say kha, you can't make out because the point of the sthana, which is the point of contact, is not resolved. It cannot be resolved by phonating ka. Secondly, the cannot be distinctly determined. Thirdly, there appear stops in between successive letters. For example, you can't say ka, kha, ga, ga. You have not phonated it. Firstly, you have phonated it in a haste. Secondly, each letter has not been distinctly phonated. So for children, we have to phonate each of the letters separate. That is ka, kha, ga, ga, and nga. Thirdly, there appear stops in between successive letters. However, in the restructured ordering, these shortcomings have been overcome, and one can instruct the consonants chastely. That is, each successive consonant of a class will invariably be voiced posteriorly to the previous consonant of the same class, one behind the other. That is, kata chapata. Now you can't say kata chapata. You can't say it. So it is kata chapata, kata chapata, gada chapata. It is one behind the other. In the same way, kachata tapat, kachata tapat, gajada dabat, gajada dabat. Here they tell you can't say kachata tapat, kachata tapat. This is not possible. So kachata tapat, kachata tapat, gajada dabat, gajada dabat, nayana namat. However, in the restructured ordering, these shortcomings are overcome, and one can instruct the consonants chastely. That is, each successive consonant of a class will invariably be voiced posteriorly to the previous consonant of the same class. For example, let us take the Maheshwar Sutra. Jabhaiya. Just see the ja. Jabhaiya. So ja is voiced posterior. Now you take Jabhaiya Ghada Dasha, Jaba Gada Dasha. Jabhaiya, Ja. Now what happens? Jabhaiya is, Ja is behind, but Ja is ahead. Jabhaiya, Jaba Gada Dasha. Now Khapa Chatata Chatata, Cha is ahead of it. It is anterior to the Ja. Ja. And finally, Khapa Chatata Chatatawa. This comes as the first one. So when you change the order, it becomes Kata Chapata. Further we will see. Thus, Kha is voiced posteriorly to Ka, Ga is voiced posteriorly to Ka, and so on for all classes of consonants. So in Maheshwar Sutras, if you chant them or recite them correctly in Laya, you will find this being obvious. The consonants voiced in the first order, Kachata Tapat, and voiced anteriorly to those voiced in the second order, Kata Chapata. Thus, together, the above consonants make for 45 consonants. The first 25 and the next 20, because per you cannot voice at two different places. On the lips, there is no provision for two per class consonants to be phonated. The point of articulation of per class consonants is the same, irrespective of the order. The total number of class consonants comes to 25 plus 20, 45. Thus, after excluding the Nyaya letters from the Maheshwar Sutras, if we add the remaining letters from the Maheshwar Sutras, the Ana letters, that is A to La, 14, the Shala letters, sh, sa, and h and l, totaling 19, we get 64. Here it should be higher letters. Huh? Thus, after excluding the yaya, yamangananam, jabhaya, higher word, barabar. From a to la 14, the shala letters and her and la, totaling 19, we get 64. That is 45 plus 19 letters, that is 64 letters. It is worth noting that in counting the letters this way, we have counted her twice, that is the her in higher varata and the her in hala. And her only once. That is, we have not disfigured or dismembered the Maheshwar Sutras in any way. The consonants voiced anteriorly will henceforth be designated as the soft consonants, and the consonants voiced posteriorly will be designated hard consonants, even though the internal effort, that is the prayatna, required to voice them is the same. So it fits into the Samamnaya framework. One may ask as to why the anteriorly voiced consonants, which we will henceforth refer to as soft consonants, have to end with an ith. By ending with an ith, post last consonant, the tongue regains its position as it was prior to the first consonant, that is lying on the floor of the oral cavity. For instance, if you say kachatatapa, you will get a break for kachatatapa. So in order that continuity is maintained, so a tapar has to be done. Kachata tapat, khachata tapat, gajada dabad, gajada dhabad, ngayana nama. This it is not necessary for the posteriorly voiced consonants. That is kata chapata. Since the last letter is ta, kata chapata or of the ta class. Kata chapata, khata chapata, gada jabada, ghada jabada, ngana yamana. This it is not necessary for the posteriorly placed consonants, which we will henceforth refer to as hard consonants. The last consonant being a third class consonant, tapar, tapara tatkalasya, the tongue regains its position as it was prior to voicing the first consonant anyway, that is lying on the floor of the oral cavity. Now here we come to the Paniniya Shiksha framework. That is, they have visualized the area, not the each individual letter of the class consonant. That is, the ka class consonants are kanta, then the cha class consonants are talavya, ta class consonants are murdhanya, the ta class consonants are dantya, and the pa class consonants are oshtya. The image above shows the traditional place of phonation of the class consonants as described in the Paniniya Shiksha, but does not give the exact points of articulation of each of the letters. What is absent in this? That where is ka phonated, where is kha phonated in the kantha? This has not been given. Only an area is given. But the specific, for example, if you take the nakshatra, as a group, it occupies an area in the sky. But each star among them occupies a distinct place. In the same way, though the area has been enunciated, still the articulation of each of the letter of the class has not been shown. They have not shown it. But does not give the exact points of articulation of each of the letters. If we extrapolate from the areas of articulation of each class consonants, that they are from back to front or from posterior to anterior, every successive consonant of the class is posteriorly articulated to the previous one. That is ka, cha, ta, ta, pa. This is how it is articulated, or this is how it is taught. This leaves no room for the articulation of another group of consonants of the ka, cha, ta, and per class. Now there is no room in the mouth. All the area has been occupied. Incidentally, this diagram is based on the Devanagari script sequence, which is not according to the Maheshwar Sutra sequence of letters. When we look at the points of articulation while phonating the Maheshwar Sutras, we find that the consonants of the cha, ta, ta class are articulated in the palatal area, Murdhanya, leaving the area of the velar, that is the talavya, and the alveolar, that is the dantamulya regions, empty. Now, this is a very important point. Suppose if anybody is ready, they can just recite Chatta Tava. You will find that the cha class consonants, the ta class consonants, and the ta class consonants are phonated from the same area. So, Chatta Tava, it is not cha ta ta. Therefore, if you see YouTube videos, they find tremendous difficulty in phonating the cha, ta, and ta class consonants. The reason being that cha, ta, and ta class consonants are phonated or articulated in the same area. What differentiates them is the jiva. That is, while saying cha, the shape of the tongue is different. While saying ta, the shape of the tongue is different. And while saying ta, the shape of the tongue is different. The area of articulation is the same. However, the jiva, the tongue, differentiates each of the letters in the same area. Therefore, chatta tava, this is the reason this part, kapha chatta tha, this is one part. Chatta tava, this is what I saw, that while phonating the Maheshwar Sutras correctly, this cha, ta, and ta are phonated from the same place. Similarly, if you say kachatta tapat, ta, ta, and cha are phonated from the same area. They are not phonated from the different areas. So this is very important, that when we see in the Maheshwar Sutras or even in the sutras of the soft consonants that I have made, that cha, ta, and ta class consonants are phonated from the same area. Therefore, this leaves no harm. Incidentally, this diagram is based on the Devanagari script sequence, which is not according to the Maheshwar Sutra sequence of letters. When we look at the points of articulations while phonating the Maheshwar Sutras, we find that the consonants of the cha, ta, ta class are articulated in the same palatal area, Murdhanya, leaving the area velar, talavya, and alveolar, dantamulya regions empty. This creates room for accommodating another group of consonants of the ka, cha, ta, and ta class, which are the savarnas of those in the Maheshwar Sutras. They are savarnas. To sound to the Vaikari, they sound the same, but their sthana is different. Their stan being different, we have to account for them differently. The same star cannot be seen at two different places in the sky. They have to be treated as different stars. Saha. In this way, room is created for the accommodation of two sets of consonants of the ka, cha, and ta class. Now, in this diagram, we have enunciated. So, in the velar region and in the pharyngeal region, the hard consonants have been vocalized. In the velar region, the soft consonant has been vocalized. For example, we take a Hindi word, kaha gaye the. So here we say that the ka in kaha is from the pharyngeal. When this word is phonated by a South Indian or even to a great extent by a Marathi person, he says kaha gaye the. Now in kaha, the ka is pharyngeal. But in kaha gaye the, the ka becomes velar. So this area, the pharyngeal hard consonant remain, but you get a area in the velar which you can accommodate the other class consonant. Similarly, in the palatal region, all the hard ch, ta and ta varga consonants can be accommodated. In addition, we have this alveolar region where the soft consonants can also be accommodated. And then the per class consonants have no variation. They are but hard, we have to treat them as hard consonants. So this is how the 20 more ka, cha, ta, ta class consonants can be accounted for. And room has been created for accounting them with the help of the Maheshwar Sutras by defining the points of articulation of the ka, cha, ta, ta class consonants in the Maheshwar Sutra. So now we go ahead. Is everybody clear? The existence of a pair of ka, cha, ta and ta class consonants is not astonishing. In music, we do have pairs of notes. In Western music, that is the flat and the sharp ones. In Indian music too, we have the Shuddha and Komal Swaras for Rishabh, Gandhar, Dhaivat and Nishad. Now, why could you not name Rishabh, that is Sa, Ri, as the second Komal Rishabh, as another word? You can't represent them. Rishabhs are two. What is the difference? The difference is in their place of articulation. The place of articulation is different. So you already have two notes of the Rishabh, Gandhar, Dhaivat and Nishad. In the same way, here too, we have a pair of ka, cha, ta and ta class consonants. But the story does not stop here. In addition, we find that each successive consonant of a particular class, instead of being phonated anteriorly to the previous, as in the Devanagari script sequence, is now phonated posteriorly in the Maheshwar Sutra sequence. So what is happening here is, if this 1 is ka, the 2 is kha, the 3 is ga, the 4 is gha, and the 5 is nga. Similarly, in the velar region, the first is ka, the second is kha, the third is ga, and the fourth is gha. There is no room for nga here. Therefore, this nga or these nasals get modulated into the yamas. That is, for example, in South Indian languages, nga is phonetic. Nga. It is not nga. So there is a difference that we will see in our later webinar. Another difference in the phonation of the Devanagari script letters and the Maheshwar Sutras is that the effort to phonate, that is expelling air to voice the letters, is inverted. That is, what is happening is, instead of, in the Devanagari script, if you put your hand in front of your mouth, you will see kha, kha, ga, gha. Air will be expirated out. But in the same case, if you look at the Maheshwar Sutras, you will find chata tava, no air coming out. Because with the Navi Prayatna, the air is expirated in small frames, which you can't feel with the mouth. So this is the difference. Another difference in the phonation of the phonation of the Devanagari script letters and the Maheshwar Sutras is that the effort to phonate, that is expelling air to voice the letter, is inverted. While phonating the Devanagari script letters, the abdomen is pushed forwards. That is ka. You can just try it out. Ka, kha, ga, gha. In contrast to it being pulled inwards while phonating the Maheshwar Sutra. It thus appears that Panini treaded not only a different path, but a path opposite to that in vogue within the Vedic elite. So he has treaded a very different path. Eli, whether Panini was a Vedic practitioner or not, we have no clue. So did he pick up from the Vedic tradition as such, or he has independently thought over the issue of language, quite independent? So here, Amazon Thirakwa was a student of, however, my experience within the Tabla fraternity points to such a possibility. Amazon Thirakwa was a student of Munir Khan, who was not a performing artist. However, with the help of his diction, so he had totally concentrated on the diction of the composition. The playing part came afterwards. He trained Amazon Thirakwa in a way that is seemingly unduplicatable. Possibly, Panini's diction helped him to see through the cosmic nature of the Vedic and Lokic language and derive rules that he could describe it. So his approach itself, which is clearly seen in the Maheshwar Sutras, has separated him from the Vedic elite who are practitioners. Panini was not a practitioner. This is what it leads to. There is no clue, but this is what we have to look into. In this way, we first need to deconstruct Panini's Ashtadhyayi on the basis of his own premises, that is the Maheshwar Sutras, and then reconstruct it so that we will ultimately be in a position to appreciate the rules. And if there are, taking the framework of the Maheshwar Sutras, any flaws in the Ashtadhyayi. For example, if the Euclid's geometry is of no use if you have not accounted for it from the point of view of the axioms that he placed before writing his theorem. So now, later on, it so happened that it is not that in the real world a straight line exists. A straight line doesn't exist. So a separate geometry for curved figures was evolved later on. Here they have challenged not the theorems of Euclid, they have challenged the axioms of Euclid. So if you want to do something, you challenge the axioms, that is, you challenge the Maheshwar Sutras. This is a very important point. Here are some reasons that necessitate defining the hard and soft consonants now. Firstly, today Sanskrit is no more a spoken language in India. Various formal languages have taken its place. Secondly, by formal languages, I mean languages used for knowledge purposes, not for communication. Languages which are used for instruction or for in education can be termed as formal language because they impart education through it. Secondly, formal education through English is distorting the character of words and thus in turn of letters of formal Indian languages. Thus, down the timeline, it will affect the phonation of letters and words of Sanskrit too. This necessitates that we theoretically define all the letters that are voiced in Sanskrit. Also, down the timeline, it may not be possible to restore the chaste characteristics of Sanskrit words and letters. Thirdly, ignorance of the letters will distort the word form. If a letter in a word is in fact a posterior variant, that is a hard consonant in the chaste form, but is voiced from its anterior position. For example, a person who has been taught the Devanagari script form, he will say cha and then say ta and then say ta. So this is what will happen. So apparently a letter ta or letter ta, which has to be voiced posteriorly in the palatal, is voiced ahead. This will create problems. A hard consonant in the Chebas is voiced from its anterior position. That is, as a soft consonant, it distorts the word form and vice versa too. This happens because the hard and the soft ka are in fact two distinct letters and hence not mutually replaceable. You cannot use the hard ka for the soft ka or vice versa. Thus, given a letter sequence, this is again important. Thus, given a letter sequence of a word, only one class of only one of the two variants of a consonant are possible for each of the class consonants in the word. Fourthly, not identifying the soft and hard consonants might also have been one of the reasons for Sanskrit going out of vogue. Thus, in due course of time, giving way to Ardhamagdi and Pali. For example, in Dharma, Ra is retroflexed. It is Murdhanya. Now, if somebody does not know this Murdhanya Ra, what will happen? That place of the Ra will be taken by Ma. So it will be, instead of being Dharma, Dharmaha, it will become Dhamma. So it has affected. Points of phonation, articulation need to be very specifically instructed, at least for Sanskrit. Thus, in due course of time, giving way to Ardhamagdi and Pali, which then gave way to the evolution of formal Indian languages. Thus, today it is all the more necessary that we scrupulously define all the consonants needed to speak Sanskrit chastely, so that Sanskrit and its literature will stand protected. Now, both hard and soft consonants are used while making words with the help of various prefixes and suffixes. While making word forms of the verbal roots and pratipadikas, both the forms are used. For example, in the verb root vada, the declensions of which are as follows, because we are not going to phonate roots, because the roots are they are not fit for phonation. So if you see here, vadami, vadavaha, vadamaha. Now this da in all the three is the same. Vadami, vadavaha, vadamaha. Then you take vadasi. Here also the da is posterior. Vadasi, vadathaha, vadatha. Here also it is posterior. But when you say vadati, the da no more remains posterior. It becomes anterior. It becomes alveolar or dantya. That is vadati, vadataha, vadanti. Again, I will read it once more. You see the shruti that comes out of these letters. What we need to, not only the letter as is written in the script, but the shruti that is produced from it. It is vadami, vadavaha, vadamaha, vadasi, vadathaha, vadatha, vadati, vadataha, vadanti. So this is the difference. Those are shruti changes. If you are voicing, for example, what is the difference between kachata tapat and kata chapata? The difference is in the shruti that each of the letter produces. Again, while chastely reciting the above words, it is seen that the consonant the in the first person, second person forms are anteriorly voiced or is in the soft consonant or is a soft consonant. The consonant the in the first person, second person forms is anteriorly voiced or is a soft consonant, whereas the consonant the in the third person forms is voiced posteriorly or is a hard consonant. Now suppose I have made a possibility. Vadami, here it is wrong. Huh? Here I have to correct it. First person, second person, it is posteriorly. 1 minute. Consonants, whereas the consonant the in the third person forms is voiced anterior. Change करना जरूरी. One minute. or is a hard consonant, and whereas the consonant the in the third person forms is voiced anteriorly or is a soft consonant. Similarly, in the case of the Pratipadikas, the declensions of the word Deva are as follows. It is Devaha, Devau, Devaha, Devam, Devau, Devan, Devena, Devabhyam, Devaihi, Devaya, Devabhyam, Devebhyah, Devata, Devabhyam, Devebhyah. Now here it will become Devasya, Devayoho, Devanam. अरे ये क्या हुआ? क्या आता है बीच में? One minute. What has happened? Can you hear me? Sharing has stopped, so possibly.
Yes.
Yes, Mahodaya. We can see the screen and we can.
I can't see the screen. I'll just work on it. 1 minute. Devaha, Devau, Devaha, Devam, Devau, Devana, Devena, Devabhyam, Devaihi, Devaya, Devabhyam, Devebhya, Devata, Devabhyam, Devebhya, Devasya, Devayoho, Devana, Deve, Devayoho, Deveshu. Prabhakar Rauji has pointed out as Vadami, it is right, it should be short vowel. Vadami, it is not Vadami, this will get corrupted. So I'll change it. Thank you for bringing it to light. Scripting में कुछ भी होता है. So Devasya Devayoho Devanam and Deve Devayoho Deveshu is soft. In the above case, one will observe that the consonant the up to the ablative is voiced, either be mistake hai, is voiced posteriorly or is a hard consonant. Or is a hard consonant. Whereas the consonant the in the possessive and genitive case is voiced anteriorly and is a hard and is a soft consonant. Is voiced anteriorly or is a soft consonant.
Make it before and. Anteriorly should come before and.
From the above, it should be clear that an individual learning Sanskrit has to be well versed in both the hard and the soft consonants. Sanskrit is a language of India. It has been artistically drafted and scripted by taking in words and thus letters from aboriginal or native languages of India. Just as classical Indian music has evolved from regional folk music. This is also true of formal Indian languages of the day. However, we see considerable difference in the architecture of formal Indian languages regarding the basket of letters. Modern Indian languages have evolved like Sanskrit from aboriginal or native languages. Thus, these formal languages, regional languages, have varied assortment of letters. We can classify Indian regional languages according to the type of consonants they use. Languages that employ only hard consonants, languages that employ only soft consonants, and the rest that employ a mix of both hard and soft consonants. One will find that North Indian languages generally employ hard consonants, South Indian languages employ soft consonants, and languages in Central India employ a mix of both hard and soft consonants. This classification is a general one. One needs to go through each of the languages in detail. It is because of this difference in the assortment of letters that North Indians find difficulty in learning to phonate South Indian languages and vice versa. See, basic letters are sanskar hai. So to go away from the sanskar which the child has learned in childhood, since infancy, that is very difficult to change. In Indian philosophy, words are considered permanent. In the same way, we can say that words are permanent on account of their parts, that is, letters being permanent. That is, the basket of letters, literally meaning akshara, have permanence over a particular geographical area. So the akshara has permanence, not the varna. Varna will undergo change depending upon what akshara they are using. It is true that even though spoken Marathi uses both the hard and the soft consonants, yet the soft consonants are not distinguished from the hard ones in orthographic form. Marathi uses both. When I, for example, I say, तू मला कप आणून दे आणि तू कपाळ मोक्ष केलास. So in this kapal, ka is soft, and in the previous word it is hard. So kapa means ka is hard. Though in English we therefore call it as cup, but in Marathi it is not called as, it is not said as cup. It is said as kapa anunde, cup anunde, not bring a cup. So it is ठीक है. As a result, teaching native children to read formal Marathi is a big challenge, because if he is accustomed to only phonate the hard consonants, and if he cannot phonate the soft consonants, he cannot read formal Marathi. The native tongue of the child may not contain all the letters that are needed to speak and read formal Marathi. This is a severe problem while teaching Marathi to children. It is possible with this sole aim that Maheshwar Sutras must have been formulated so that the influence of local dialect on Vedic literature could be overcome. Only a handful of individuals are capable of speaking in Sanskrit in India today. In this small community, there is no uniformity in the phonation of words, because speakers belonging to different regional lingual groups, This book has been written so that this difference among different regional lingual groups speaking Sanskrit is overcome, and Sanskrit is restored to its original place of pride amongst languages, not only in India, but also across the world. It is therefore even more necessary that students of Sanskrit learn to recite and phonate both the hard and the soft consonants, or else Sanskrit literature will only remain in script form on paper, as is the case today. It is also all the more important that we differentiate the consonants into two classes, because at each of the places of consonants, that is both hard and soft, all the variations, that is short, long and extra long, vowelization, as well as upward and downward intonation takes place. So at both the places it takes place. It is not at only one place. Because the modulation of anas takes place at the points of phonation of both the soft and the hard consonants. Without this, we cannot arrive at the 18 anas. One finds that the evolution of the tabla took place because of the hard consonants did not find a place while playing the pakhavaj. The literature of the tabla is thus different from the literature of the pakhavaj, both in letter and in form, as its literature contains both hard and soft consonants. Therefore, diction of tabla compositions was itself a problem. And secondly, these hard and soft consonants are related to the various gharanas of the tabla. That is, the Delhi tabla only has hard consonants. The Purab tabla has only soft consonants because it has come from the pakhavaj. And the Farrukhabad tabla, which contains a mix of both. So it is very difficult, and that affects the nikas. Nikas is what? The way you articulate. In short, it is necessary to classify the consonants into hard consonants and soft consonants, because the place effort, sthana prayatna, invested to phonate them are different. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Now, if anybody has any questions, they are free to ask. I'll stop sharing.